Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you getting the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So just I'm waiting for 2-3 minutes because few people are still entering. So how the things are going on? কেমন আছো সবাই?
Hello.
ভালো?
Mm.
Very good. And what is your expectation about the lockdown? Will it continue beyond 3rd May?
It's bound to increase.
Yes, ma'am.
It will.
So everybody is expecting again the date will increase.
Mm.
The prediction is also telling that. So maybe, in mid-May or at the end part. Actually, the prediction is mostly telling us now after the 4 months, that means starting from March, around 4th month, there will be the peak. I hope you are also reading all this kind of things. Who is Redmi Kundu?
And Dorpo Kota.
Okay. Is there anyone in the waiting room?
Yes, ma'am. Sambhav is trying to join.
Because of the security reasons and so many things about the Zoom, I made all these changes. So did you go through the constant optimization?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What about the third book? Because he's coming again and again. I admit it. Ghoshia, how are you?
I'm fine, ma'am.
Going through the things? Or, later you will go through all these things?
Sorry.
Are you going through the matters, what we are giving you through this kind of classes? Or you will
Yeah.
read these things later? Solving the problems, trying to understand the matters?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start, I think. I didn't get Shreya. Shreya is there in the meeting or only Oishi is there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Shreya acha? Okay. Okay, okay. So I think we can start now, na? 33 people are there.
Yes, sir.
So if 2-3 people join us, in that case, we will admit them. Okay, so we are starting constant optimization. As I mentioned, I have one thing left in unconstant optimization, that is the envelope theorem. So we will discuss the envelope theorem both for the constant optimization and unconstant optimization together. So, just one thing left for the other thing. So did you go through the entire thing? Is the last part of the unconstant optimization is fine with all of you? There were several exercises, proofs kind of thing, not the numerical exercises. You could solve all these things.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All the reciprocity relations, etc. All these things are fine to all of you.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So today we are starting the constant optimization. I hope by this time you went through the basics of constant optimization. In fact, while we did the consumer theory and the production theory in the first semester classes, we also learned something about the constant optimization. So it is not absolutely new to all of you. But before going to the constant optimization, we need to clarify 4 definitions. These 4 definitions are definitions regarding concavity, convexity, quasi-concavity, and quasi-convexity. Concavity and convexity that appeared in case of unconstant optimization too, but we didn't clarify the terms quasi-concavity and quasi-convexity. So first we need to clarify all these terms. Okay, so there are several definitions of concave function. Here in our mathematical classes, we are focusing on 3 types of definitions of both concavity and convexity. The first definition of both concavity and convexity are quite graphical. It is based on graphical measure. And then we are going for the second definition, which is based on Hessian determinant. And the third definition is based on bordered Hessian determinant. So first definition, graphical. Second definition, based on Hessian determinant. Third definition, based on bordered Hessian determinant. So mostly you are familiar with this graphical definition. And by this time, you are quite familiar with the second definition, which is based on Hessian determinant too. But let's once again repeat this entire kind of thing. So for this graphical definition, what we are expecting, there will be a curve, and we will consider any 2 points, say x prime and x double prime. And then we will consider a convex combination of these 2 points. Convex combination means lambda x prime plus 1 minus lambda x double prime. Convex combination, that is this straight line, is basically equation 2 lambda x prime plus 1 minus lambda x double prime. Now, if I consider this point to be x bar, this lambda x prime plus 1 minus lambda x double prime, in that case, lambda is basically half. You can consider any value within the range 0 to 1. So for the time being, let's consider lambda to be equal to half. In that case, we are getting the middlemost point, say x bar. Okay, and we are considering the corresponding coordinate a bar. Then what we are doing, we are considering the coordinate of that same x bar along the curve, not along the line which is giving the convex combination, but along the original curve. If f of x bar, that is f corresponding to the original curve, lies above f corresponding to the point which lies on the linear combination, in that case, a curve is called strict concave curve. F of x bar is greater than f bar. If it is greater than equal to, in that case, it is weak concavity. If we consider greater than, we will call it strict concavity. Whatever be the matter, if f of x bar is greater than f bar, then we are considering the underlying curve is a concave curve, or underlying function is a concave function. So once again, we are going back. So this is the thing, f of x bar, if that is greater than equal to lambda f of x bar plus 1 minus lambda f of x double prime, sorry, x prime f of x double prime, in that case, we call the curve concave, and if it is strict inequality, we call it strict, strict concave. Any question for this graphical definition?
Mm.
It is fine.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Shopnil, you had some question, that is whether we need this kind of definition of concavity or not. I hope you are understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
While we will go
Yes, ma'am.
for
Yes, ma'am.
curvature, etc., we need basically this kind of definition of concavity and convexity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, we are considering definition 2. Definition 2 is based on principal minors of the Hessian determinant. If we find that principal minors of Hessian determinant alters in sign starting with negative, then the second order is positive, third order is negative, and so on, in that case also, the underlying curve is a concave curve, or underlying function is a concave function. Underlying function is a concave function. Now, if you consider equal to sign along with this less than sign, in that case, everything will be weak in nature. And if you consider strict inequality, it is strictly concave function. So, if principal minors of any Hessian determinant, and by this time you know how we are forming the Hessian determinant, etc. So, if we consider this thing, in that case, you know, the function is a concave function. Under many chapters of micro book, you will find that following this Hessian determinant, concavity has been determined or defined as f11 f22 minus f12 square. That is, they are considering this expression f11 f22 minus f12 f21. And if you consider the Young's rule, you can consider it to be f12 square or f21 square. So that greater than 0. So they are telling that if this happens, in that case, we are considering the function to be concave. Now, how they are telling so? They are considering, or under most of the circumstances, we are considering two commodity world. So, you know, the second order condition is given by this. Okay. So if f11 less than 0, f22 less than 0, and together with these two, we write f11 f22 minus f12 square greater than 0. That is the indication of concavity for a function where we have two variables. So this is the second definition of concavity. Principal minors of Hessian determinant will alter in sign starting with negative. In micro books or some mathematical books, this condition is given by f11 less than 0, f22 less than 0, and f11 f22 minus f12 square greater than 0, because they are considering a two commodity world. Is this definition clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, we are going for third definition. So in the third definition, I'm elaborating the thing because so far I have not introduced the bordered Hessian determinant. So I'm starting with a level curve, and then finally I'm reaching at bordered Hessian determinant. So I'm not starting with a function, rather I'm starting with a level curve. So I'm telling a curve is strictly convex to the origin. This curve means level curve. A curve is strictly convex to the origin, corresponds to the fact that as we move rightward along the curve, increasing x1 and decreasing x2, that means I am substituting x2 by x1, the slope of the curve decreases in absolute value. So I am considering a strict convex curve like an indifference curve, and I am continuously substituting x2 by x1. As I'm doing so, that is, I am moving from left toward right, the tangent, the slope of the tangent, that is reducing continuously. In other words, the slope of the curve decreases in absolute value. Next, we consider a function, a very simple function, which consists of two variables, x1 and x2. So I'm writing any constant c is equal to f of x1, x2. Now, if I totally differentiate this equation, I get dc is equal to f1 dx1 plus f2 dx2. Since c is a constant, we can set c to be equal to 0, and that gives us the slope of the curve dx2 by dx1, which is equal to minus f1 by f2. Or if I consider the negative of the slope, since we will like to consider the absolute value, so and the lines are negatively sloped, so we can multiply dx2 by dx1 by minus sign. So in that case, the absolute slope of the line of the curve will be given by f1 by f2. Now, if this curve c is equal to f of x1, x2 is indifference curve, in that case, these minus dx2 by dx1 is nothing but marginal utility of x1 divided by marginal utility of x2, or in other words, it is MRS x1, x2. If it is a production function, in that case, instead of marginal utility, what we will consider if it is an isoquant?
Marginal product.
Marginal product, very good. If instead of the indifference curve, we consider c is equal to f of x1, x2 is an isoquant, in that case, x1 and x2 are nothing but the two inputs of production, say L and K. So,
Inputs.
yeah, inputs, two inputs of production. In that case, if we consider this kind of slope, you will get ratio of marginal productivities, or you will get MRTS, marginal rate of technical substitution. So in this way, for any general function, we can derive the absolute slope in this way. Minus dx2 by dx1 is equal to ratio of the margins f1 by f2, partial derivatives. In the next step, to get the curvature or to understand what is the rate of change in slope, what is the rate of change in slope? Because in the last line, I mentioned when I am increasing x1 and decreasing x2, the slope of curve decreases in absolute term. That is, I am trying to tell something about rate of change in the slope. Okay. So we are considering this condition. ddx1, I'm continuously substituting x2 by x1. So ddx1 of minus dx2 by dx1, that we are considering. So instead of minus dx2 by dx1, I'm writing f1 by f2. And we need this to be less than 0 because we need this decreases. So here, again, we need to note a point. Here, x2 is a function of x1 along the curve. So we can also think about x2 as a function of x1, where x2 is equal to gx1 along the curve. Are you agreeing with this matter? Because something is happening to the slope when I am substituting x2 by x1. So there is some interrelationship between x2 and x1. Isn't it? সবাই বুঝতে পারছো?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So therefore, Next, we are telling that we are using quotient rule, chain rule, and using x2 to be gx1. We get, if I take the derivative dx1 of f1 by f2, we are getting in the denominator, naturally we will get f2 square, and in the numerator, we will get this expression. Remember, x2 should be considered as g of x1. So when we are considering f1, 2, we are getting a corresponding g prime x1, etc. So did you solve this thing? Did you get this result? If you didn't do it so far, you have to check this condition, and if there is any difficulty, let me know whether there is any problem and how I can help you. So you have to take this derivative on your own. Is there anyone who did it?
Yes, ma'am.
যারা করেছো তারা পাচ্ছো তো রিলেশনটা?
হ্যাঁ 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 ম্যাম।
আর যারা করনি তাদের কিন্তু এগুলো করতে হবে, করে এটা দেখতে হবে, কারণ এগুলো তো তোমরা মুখস্থ করবে না, এগুলো তোমাকে স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ করে প্র্যাকটিস করতে হবে। So if you solve the derivative in that way, and in place of dx2 by dx1, you put minus f1 by f2, finally you will get this result, which is very, very important in context of constraint optimization. This last line is very important. So finally, we are getting, solving these second order condition, 1 by f2 cube, f11 f2 square minus f1 f2 f12 minus f22 f1 square. So this relation is combination of first order and second order derivatives. In case of Hessian determinant, while we defined concavity, that was based on only second order conditions. But here we are getting a relation which is a combination of several first order as well as second order derivatives. Here, I have also used the Young's rule. That is, there was f12, f21. So everything has been written in terms of f12. So everything has been clearly written. G prime x1 is equal to dx2 by dx1 is equal to minus f1 by f2. This relation has been used, and we have also used Young's theorem. So using all these things, we are getting this relationship. So remember, I started with a level curve. So that slope, I consider dx2 by dx1, and then ddx1 by dx2. That is, I am continuously changing x1 in terms of x2. So everything I'm considering for the level curve. So thus the level curve with f2 greater than 0 has strictly convex to the origin shape, provided that this other part is negative. So with any level curve, now the question is why I'm considering f2 to be greater than 0? Because in the next step, we will go for economic applications. Mostly, we will use this constraint optimization in context of consumer theory and the production theory. So f2 is nothing but marginal utility of x2 or marginal productivity of the second input. So in economics, we generally used to consider all these things are positive. Marginal utility of one commodity is always positive. That is, more is better. Marginal productivity of factor is positive. So we consider the things in this way. But it is not necessary if you consider any mathematical context, that is, f2 should be positive. So thus, any level curve with f2 greater than 0 has strictly convex to the origin shape, provided that this element is negative. So in that case, this relation will be negative. That is, the second order derivative will be negative, and we will call the curve a convex curve, a strictly convex curve. That you know from your +2 level. For a convex curve, the second order derivative should be less than 0. Everyone is fine?
ম্যাম লেভেল কার্ভটা স্ট্রিক্টলি কনভেক্স টু দ্য অরিজিন, ওটা কি হয়?
হ্যাঁ, স্ট্রিক্টলি কনভেক্স টু দ্য অরিজিন। যদি তুমি আবার অ্যাক্সিস গুলোকে কাট করো তাহলে উইক হয়ে যাবে, আর যদি অ্যাক্সিস কে না কাট করো তাহলে স্ট্রিক্ট কনভেক্স থাকবে। যেমন তুমি ইনডিফারেন্স কার্ভ আর আইসোকোয়ান্ট এগুলো ধরো, যেখানে তুমি অ্যাক্সিস কে কাট করাও না কার্ভ গুলো দিয়ে, বাট if you cut the things, in that case it is weak convex, weak concave এইরকম আসবে অ্যাক্সিস কে কাট করলেই। বা তুমি যদি একটা লিনিয়ার কার্ভ নাও।
ম্যাম লেভেল কার্ভটা কি কনভেক্স হয়?
এখানে লেভেল কার্ভটা তো কনভেক্স লেভেল কার্ভ থেকেই শুরু করেছি। হ্যাঁ, লেভেল কার্ভ কনকেভও হতে পারে। আমরা কনকেভিটি ডিফাইন করতে চাই, সো উই হ্যাভ সাম পারপাস, and therefore we are starting with a strict convex level curve. Level curve can be concave, okay, but
তাহলে ফাংশনটা কনভেক্স
তখন ফাংশনটা উল্টে যাবে,
কোয়াজি কনভেক্স হবে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, তো আমরা এখানে কনকেভিটি ডিফাইন করছি, আমরা থার্ড ডেফিনেশন অফ কনকেভিটি ডিরাইভ করতে চাইছি। সো we have started, we have a purpose, and therefore I have started from a level curve which is strictly convex to the origin.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, in case of strict concavity, ma'am, how can you use like a convex curve which is strictly convex to the origin in order to define quasi concavity? Well, in definition 1, that is a graphical analysis, we were using a normal concave curve.
আরে এটা লেভেল কার্ভ আর
ওটা দুটো আলাদা
লেভেল
জিনিস।
কার্ভ, এটা আমরা লেভেল কার্ভ নিয়েছি।
হ্যাঁ, এইটাই হচ্ছে আনসারটা। দেখো, আরো আমরা কন্টিনিউয়াসলি পড়বো এখান থেকে। আমরা এই যখন এই জায়গাটায় যাব, একটু দেখিয়ে দিই। এইটা হচ্ছে দেখো একটা ফাংশন, হ্যাঁ, এটা একটা কনকেভ ফাংশন, ঠিক আছে, 3 ডাইমেনশনে আমি দেখছি এটা একটা কনকেভ ফাংশন। কিন্তু লেভেল কার্ভটা যখন নিয়েছি আমি, লেভেল কার্ভের এটা তো কাটতে কাটতে গেছি, এরকম গোল গোল করে গেছে লেভেল কার্ভ গুলো, এগুলো লেভেলে গেছে। এই গোল গোল লেভেল কার্ভের যদি আমি এই ধরনের ম্যাক্সিমাইজেশন চাই, দেখো আমার এখানটা কনভেক্স হয়ে যাচ্ছে। স্ট্রিক্ট কনভেক্সিটি পার্টে আমি এই ম্যাক্সিমাইজেশন ডিরাইভ করতে পারবো, ম্যাক্সিমাম ডিরাইভ করতে পারবো। ওকে, সো দুটো জিনিস আলাদা, একটা হচ্ছে কার্ভ আর একটা হচ্ছে লেভেল কার্ভ। হ্যাঁ, তোমরা কিন্তু লেভেল কার্ভের ডেফিনেশন গুলো শিখেছো, আর একটু তোমাদের চেক করতে হবে। সো রিপিটেটিভলি আই এম মেনশনিং, আই এম কনসিডারিং লেভেল কার্ভ। কে কোয়েশ্চেনটা করেছিলে? হ্যাঁ, Olipriya. Olipriya got the point.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a standard curve, and now I am talking about a level curve. Acha. So we are here, we are telling that with f2 greater than 0, if this condition is less than 0, in that case the level curve is strictly convex. Then I am mentioning one other point. I am telling that this second order condition, that is f11 f2 square minus 2 f1 f2 f12 plus f22 f1 square less than 0, is also indicating the underlying function is a strict quasi-concave function. So for quasi-concavity, we need this condition. If this condition holds, that is f11 f2 square minus f1 f2 f12 plus f22 f1 square less than 0 for any function f, in that case the function is strictly quasi-concave. Or less than equal to 0 hole, the function is weak quasi-concave. So quasi-concavity condition is related to this. Now, along with this condition, if f2 greater than 0, in that case the function is strictly concave. I'm repeating. If the two conditions hold, F2 greater than 0 and F11 F2 square minus 2 F1 F2 F12 plus F22 F1 square less than 0. If both of these conditions simultaneously hold, in that case
Concave.
F is strictly concave.
Strictly concave.
Okay, and if only the second condition holds, in that case F is strictly quasi-concave. Okay, so we can argue if a function is strictly concave, in that case the function is also strictly quasi-concave, but not vice versa. Why not vice versa? Because in case of quasi-concavity, this second condition will hold, but we are not sure about the sign of F2. However, the economic applications we will consider, that is the consumer theory as well as the production cost. In consumer theory, we will consider indifference curve as the level curve, and in production cost, we will consider isoquant as the level curve. For both of these level curves, you know, just a minute. Hello, Nilanjan. Yes. That is আমরা একটু পরে ফোন করব তোমাকে একটার পরে। Hello. So I hope, okay, so I started to talk about economic applications. Remember, the economic, in case of two economic applications, we will consider mostly in context of economics. In that case, this F2 is greater than 0. So trivially, concavity and quasi-concavity holds both for indifference curve as well as isoquants. So for both the level curves, which will be strictly convex to the origin, for both the level curves, both the conditions F2 greater than 0 and this second condition will hold. So in our economic framework, we will get a strict convex level curve along with underlying strict concave as well as strict quasi-concave utility function and production function. Okay. However, if you consider the standard mathematical position or a general position, in that case, strict concavity definitely implies strict quasi-concavity, but not vice versa. Any question? Any question?
Ma'am, can you please repeat the part where you told that production cost and that indifference curve part for quasi-concavity and normal
What I said,
part?
Yeah. So again and again we will repeat because we will go for the economic applications, etc. But at this moment, what I am trying to tell you, I hope you are understanding, if both these conditions hold, it will be strictly concave. And if only the second condition holds, it is strictly quasi-concave. I am telling the two most important economic applications we will consider in context of constraint optimization is utilitarian framework and the production cost mechanism. So in the utilitarian framework, if we consider the equation to the indifference curve as the level curve, this F2 is marginal utility of X2. In the production cost framework, this F2 is nothing but marginal productivity of the second factor X2. As I mentioned, we will assume marginal utility of all commodities to be positive because we always assume more is better. Yeah. Similarly, we will consider marginal productivity of all factors in production is positive.